The way that the practice problems are organized in the percent booklet are as follows. So first, we're starting out with finding the part percent problems, and we begin with a set of practice problems that are just computation only, no word problems, no words involved. And then if we go to the next page, then we have a full page of word problems. And these are all find the part word problems. Now if we turn the page in the booklet, then we get to the next type of problem, which is finding the percent. And the first set of problems are all computation problems. Then we go to the next page, we have a full page of finding the percent word problems. Then guess what? We turn the page. The next type of problem is finding the whole, starting with some computation problems. Then the following page, a full set of word problems, and these are all finding the whole word problems. Okay, so let's go back to finding the part. This is on page 12. When I am finished with this video, I would like for you to take a few moments and read the instructional material at the top of the page. I do like the instructional material on this page. There are some pages in this book which I will ask you not to read because I just think that they're confusing, but not this one. This is good. So read this, and then you're going to work all of the problems on rows 1 through 4. But in this video, I'm going to work the first column for you. And here they are. Okay, on row 1, the first problem is 4.5% of $250. Do you hear that of? Percent of percent of When you have a phrase like that, the of gets translated into the operation multiplication. The of means multiply. And the instructions on the first 2 rows tell us to change the percent to a decimal number and multiply. The instructions on rows 3 and 4 tell us to change the percent to a fraction and multiply. So we're going to start out with decimal multiplication first. Now, we cannot multiply this number with a percent sign on it. So we have to take this amount and we're going to change 4.5% to a decimal number. And remember, that's a very simple move. All we do is move that decimal point 2 places over to the left. I'm going to have to add a 0 placeholder. And so we can drop the percent sign once we move the decimal point, and now we're going to multiply with 0.045 times 250. All right, so I'll work that over here. 0.045. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 5 is 25. I put down the 5 and I carry the 2 over the next place. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 more is 12. Moving down to the next line, I put a 0 placeholder, and then I start multiplying with the 4. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 5 is 20. Oh, I forgot to cross that off. 4 times 5 is 20. I put down the 0 and I carry the 2 to the next place. Then 4 times 2 is 8, plus this 2 more is 10. Now I'm ready to add, and I get a 0 in this column, 5, 2, 1, 1. Now, is that my answer? Not yet, because I haven't placed my decimal point in the answer. This is decimal multiplication, so we've got to go back to the problem and then count how many, let me change colored pins here, just a moment. I'll get a highlighter so you can see. I'm going to underline the digits that come after a decimal point in the problem. So I see this 0, this 4, and this 5. That's 1, 2, 3. So in my answer, I underline 1, 2, 3, and then my decimal point goes right there in front of the 2. So the answer is $11.25. Now when we write the answer, we may drop the final 0. Only when we write the final answer. We don't drop any zeros when we are working the multiplication. Only when we are writing the answer at the very end of the problem. So in the back of the book, you would, in the answer key, you would see $11.25. You wouldn't see 11.250. So these amounts are equivalent. Okay, so now moving on to the first problem in row 2. 6.5% of $70. Now remember, the instructions for rows 1 and 2 tell us to change the percent to a decimal number. Well, right now we don't have a we've got a mixed number. So we're going to rewrite 6.5 as 6.5%. And all I did was change 1/2 to 0.5. Because now when we move our decimal point, in order to drop that percent sign, everything will be in a decimal form. We don't want this fraction in the middle of our problem. All right, so I'm going to move 1, 2 places very carefully to the left. I'm going to have to put a 0 placeholder in front of the 6. Now I can drop the percent sign after I move 2 places. And I'm going to multiply 0.065 times 70. Okay, so I'm going to use a shortcut. Since the bottom number in my multiplication problem ends in a 0, watch this. 0 times everything on top is 0. Now I'm just going to move over to the 7 and start multiplying. 7 times 5 is 35. So on the same line, I'm going to put down a 5 for the 35, carry the 3. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 3 is 45. And then I place my decimal point in the answer, and I count 1, 2, 3 places after the decimal point in the problem. So in the answer, 1, 2, 3, decimal point right there. So the answer is, since this is a money amount, $4.55, and I'm allowed to, for my answer, to drop the final 0. Okay, so now for those of you who might not have been familiar with the shortcut that I used, I just want to go over that briefly and work the same problem the long way and the shortcut way. So first the long way. 0 times 5 is 0, 0 times 6 is 0, 0 times 0 is 0. I finished my first row. I move to my second row and write in my 0 placeholder. 7 times 5 is 35, put down the 5, carry the 3 over the 6. 7 times 6 is 42, plus 3 more is 45. And then I get 0, 5, 5, 4. Now, I'm not going to worry about placing the decimal point in the answer for my demonstration here, because I really want to focus on this part of the problem. Okay, with my shortcut, I multiplied 0 times all of this, and knowing that when I moved over to the 7 and started multiplying with this 7 in the tens place, that the digit that I would get, 7 times 5 is 35, right? So I'm going to, the next digit I write down is going to be a 5. Knowing that it's going to show up in the tens place, I just put it in the tens place. And don't bother to fill out this row with zeros and put a 0 placeholder in the second row. I just keep going on the same row. 7 times 5 is 35. I put down the 5, I carry the 3 over the 6, and then 7 times 6 is 42, plus 3 more is 45. And there's my 4550, just as I get a 4550 over here, but I get it using this shortcut. Okay, so now we're going to work the first problems on rows 3 and 4, changing the percents to a fraction. Well, we can run through this pretty fast. We know that 50% is the same as 1/2. Oh, I forgot. The first thing I really want to do before I start changing my percent to a decimal or a fraction is just cross out that of right in the multiplication sign. Looks like I forgot to do that up here too. It's a really good idea to do that. Just it helps you to hold in mind that you are multiplying. All right, so we are multiplying, and because we're multiplying with fractions, all of the numbers and all of the elements of our multiplication problem need to be in a fraction form. So I'm going to write the 38 as 38 over 1. Okay, there's the setup. 1/2 times 38 over 1. Looks like I can cancel. And then 2 goes into 3 one time with a remainder of 1. 2 goes into 18 9 times. There we go. So the answer is 19 over 1, or 19. One more problem. Let's change the of to a multiplication sign. Of means multiply in this statement. And then change the 25% to the common fraction 1/4. Times, now I'm going to write 80 as 80 over 1. And cancel. 4 goes into 8 2 times with a 0 at the end. So it looks like my answer is 20 over 1, which is the same thing as 20. All right, so your job is to, oh, it looks like I have the wrong page number on up here. This should be, say, page 12. So then your job is to work all the problems on rows 1 through 4 for this computation set. And it might not be a bad idea for you to redo the problems that I just worked for you and see if you can get the same answer.